A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, and various artificial intelligences. Welcome to Nerd Lives Matter, the podcast for outcasts, where all lives matter, unless you're beaming down to a planet with a red shirt on. I'm Dwayne, the invincible sock puppet, and with me, as always, is none other than the magnificent-smelling, dazzling diva Abraham von Studenhofer. Tonight is very special. It's our second inaugural podcast, so yay us. Tonight we will be talking about Captain America: Civil War, the trailer, Marvel's Jessica Jones, the new Netflix original TV show, Star Wars Battlefront, the video game, and whatever else tickles our pickle. So, without further ado,
all right,
let's get this thing going here. So, I believe we were going to do some recapping and kind of initial thoughts before we get into the meat and potatoes, correct?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of even the recapping, really not just recapping so much as just saying last week was awesome. We've gotten some good responses from the social media sort of blast that we did just today, because we're recording on the evening of the day that I uploaded all the actual the first one and everything. So we're kind of doing it 1 week later. Hopefully, maybe we can adjust that at some point. But yeah, no. Other than that, I mean, really just what has gone on during the week that you think is interesting, of any interest at all.
Yeah, and we got much love from everybody on Facebook and social media for starting off, kind of cramming it in there, saying, "Hey, follow us," and here we go. So that was really, really nice.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out to James Rowling, who's a good friend of ours from back in the day, one of our first subscribers on YouTube. I believe he was the first one. There's a comment on it that says that it was some other dude, but I don't believe that's true. And then, of course, we got a couple shares from some people. Daryl, my friend, coworker Patrick, and I believe James as well. Oh, my friend, my other friend James Gonzalez. So thanks a lot, guys. That was really, really cool. And so it's all appreciated. It's going to help, anything that you guys can do to spread the word to get this out there, especially if you like it. If you don't like it, you don't got to do it, but you should do it anyways because you know us. But it'll be great when there are people that don't know us that start watching it that like it. So.
And for those that did subscribe first and are liking us and everything, you get a free Nerd Lives Matter nothing. So and enjoy that. That's good.
It's better than a Marvel No Prize because it's from us. So
yeah. So.
All right, perfect. Then first topic, were we going to do the Star Wars little recap thing? Because there's a couple bits of info that I wanted to go over there.
Yeah, we can talk about that for sure.
Cool. Since Star Wars is one of our greatest loves, and there's, especially now that the new trilogy and all the anthology movies are coming out, there's a ton of information coming out based on the books' expanded universe. So we're probably going to touch base on that a little bit every show. It's just we haven't named the segment. If you guys have any suggestions, post them to the Facebook group. We'll probably...
leave a comment on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that too. Tweet, Instagram, we're everywhere.
Snap the fucking chat.
Yeah. I don't have that, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We'll figure it out.
But yeah, no. Firstly, I wanted to say, I know we talked about this a little bit last night, but the that new, I know it's not the latest TV spot, but the one that focuses on Poe Dameron, which is finally fucking here. He's finally getting some love. The X-wing one, that in my opinion is the greatest because it has a Celestin in it. It's got, a Nien Nunb, he was the same alien that was chilling next to Lando in the Millennium Falcon during Return of the Jedi, big, giant, disgusting, wet... Yeah. And he does it in this commercial too, so I thought that was awesome. Yeah. So
they always have to go...
Yeah, and chuckle at some point.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was really cool. We'll put a link to that in the description and also on the Facebook page to that specific TV spot if you want to check it out. It's really cool. Also, some really cool, interesting news on the ebook, or just on the book horizon. There is an ebook that was just released recently. I think it's available for download now. It's free. It's called The Perfect Weapon. It's part of the Journey of the Force Awakens. Apparently, it's about one of the bounty hunters that was in that big Vanity Fair spread, like the photo, like the new Jabba's palace. It's not Jabba's palace,
right,
but with all the crazy aliens. I think it's one of those characters, just a side character.
Cool.
Looks pretty interesting. I want to check that out.
Fun.
And then 4 other books were actually just announced, also part of the Journey to the Force Awakens, kind of along the lines of those books that came out, like the Luke Skywalker book, the Weapon of a Jedi, the Han and Chewie book, Smuggler's Run. It's Tales from a Galaxy Far, Far Away, which to me sort of echoes the old Tales from Jabba's Palace, Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and these 4 are Tales from a Galaxy Far, Far Away aliens. The first one is High Noon on Jakku, the Crimson Corsair, and I believe no, it's the Crimson Corsair and the Lost Treasure of Dooku is what it is. And then there's one called All Creatures Great and Small, and The Face of Evil, which is really cool. It seems like they're all 4 written by the same author. His name escapes me at this moment, but they're sort of young adult, but they look like they're really cool, different outings in terms of genre. I think there's a western, a thriller, I guess like a children's, like All Creatures Great and Small. I can only think it's like a children's book. So those look really cool too. You should check those out. And lastly, but not least, in this rundown of Star Wars news is sort of a big one. Mark Hamill has confirmed that he is going to be in Episode 8.
Yep.
You know, he mentioned he's ready to grow the beard back to start filming. Of course, that's not to say that he's going to be alive. I can see him being a Force ghost. You know, I mean, if he hasn't signed a contract for all 3 movies, then I have a feeling he's going to die, and maybe he'll just be back in sort of that status.
Yeah, and I was reading an article, I forget which magazine it was at this point, about, he was quoting in that article that, you know, he felt that his function, it was about why he hasn't been in the movie posters and he's not plastered all over the place. And he felt that it was his function more to be a part of the passing of the torch. And you know, he's basically saying the focus isn't on us. You know, we're the devices. We're the, you know, the original guard or the plot devices to help bring the younger generation into Star Wars, you know, to kick off Rey and Finn and Poe and Kylo Ren and their journey. So he's giving us kind of some, it seems like he's giving us some sort of indication that whatever their role is from 7 on is definitely diminished. Not to say it's not an important part, but it's to take a back seat to what's going on in the main action, and they're very upfront about that. So
yeah, and it's great that he's doing it gracefully as opposed to like pulling a Shatner in, you know, like Generations. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's always good.
It's so funny because somebody was saying, oh. It's a side note, but Garrett Wang from Star Trek Voyager, I read some article that he had actually met Shatner and hated his guts because he was such a diva. But you know,
that's the story for going on 30 years now, so it's not a surprise. I didn't meet him, but he did. His wheelchair pushing guy bumped me at Alamo City Comic Con year before last. He had hurt his ankle or something, and he was there, and he was like. He was about as far away from me as this table that you guys can't see is. But the guy that was pushing his wheelchair kind of brushed me really brusquely. And I was like, hey, it's Shatner. All
so
right.
He's such a dick that even his wheelchair guy was an asshole.
Yeah. But whatever. It's Shatner. I'm going to love him forever anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Let it go.
Cool.
It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So, all right, let's get into it. What did you have in mind for first off tonight?
The Civil War trailer. That looks extremely cool. Extremely cool.
Awesome. Yeah. There was some talk on the Facebook group today about it actually looking kind of crappy, and I don't think it looks crappy at all. I don't think it looks bad at all. I think what it is, it's smaller in scope because it's not encompassing the entire Marvel universe so much as it is. It's within the framework of a Captain America movie, a Captain America story. And
well, I'll admit, there did seem like there were scenes where, you know, 4 of the heroes from this side and 4 of the heroes from this side were coming at each other, and it looked like just a bunch of dudes, you know, about to do some sort of cosplay thing. Yeah. You know, it kind of really did in the middle of the afternoon. And I was like, okay, well, you know, but still, you know, story-wise, and you're absolutely right, it's not going to be an epic Infinity Gauntlet, you know, kind of scale thing.
Yeah.
So it's a standalone Captain America. They're going to keep it toned down, and from that, it even looked epic in scope from just a Captain America movie. I mean, come on, we had frickin' Black Panther, caught a glimpse of I know, Spider-Man, you mean? caught a glimpse. Inside joke. Caught a glimpse of Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
and of course Iron Man was in there, and that was all. That was really cool. Their whole,
Yeah.
used to be my friend.
Oh, the feels on that, man.
Yeah, the feels
But
totally.
no, and in regards to what you were saying about the team sort of clashing at each other, it was also I felt that it was everybody that we've seen before. It wasn't
Mm,
anybody new. It wasn't like Black Panther was on anybody's side or Spider Man was on anybody's side. It was all the people that we've seen in a Captain America or an Avengers movie before.
right.
So that was kind of like, all right, it's all right, it's the same old players, which is great because I love the Falcon. I love Anthony Mackie's politics aside, my politics aside. I love the Falcon, and obviously there's all these rights issues. They can't use the X Men. They can't use
Right,
Fantastic
right.
Four. So you got to work with what you got. You know what I mean? And for what they have, which is still an amazing roster of characters, it looks pretty badass. It
Oh
looks
yeah,
really well done. Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited for that, and it's going to open up a lot more. I have a feeling that it's going to. The one thing that I am really afraid of is that Civil War was pretty epic in scope. It wasn't just a kind of quick one-shot sort of thing. It took a while for everything to get resolved and the tension to build up. And that's going to be tough to do in an hour and a half movie or 2 hour movie, whatever the runtime is, and come to a decent resolution. And I don't think I'm going to want to see this spilling over into other movies, and that's kind of going to have to be the balance. They're going to have to find a way to resolve it to where when it does come time for things to move on to Infinity Gauntlet, Avengers 3, or whatever, what have you, things are going to be, there can be tension, but not like the rift. That rift has to be somewhat resolved in its
Yeah.
way. And I'm worried that that's going to be rushed.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of worried that they're going to rush the conflict. But I do
Especially.
like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say, especially since it seems like they're still trying to resolve Bucky's story.
I was just going to
There's
say that. Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
Well, go ahead, finish your thought. Go for it.
I was going to say Bucky. He's the device. He's the thing that causes the rift, and they haven't fully fleshed out what's going on. With that, and is it going to be the immediate healing of Bucky and Cap? That's going to be pretty quick because then you're going to have the whole rift happening through the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
So just jumping into the movie like, oh, I love you, I love you.
yeah. And especially because I think Bucky was one of the characters that was like on Cap's side in that one little small scene. It's like
Right.
so they're already fighting for each other. I mean, granted we don't know the context, but it does seem like it's either rushed or either they're going to rush it or they're going to clip it to the point where it's kind of not really
Well,
feasible.
they clearly both beat the shit out of Iron Man, so
Which was badass. I
I
mean,
was like,
Cap
wow.
like smacks him, and then he tosses the freaking shield to Bucky.
Yeah.
Bucky smacks him a couple times, tosses it back. That was so badass. That was so
I was
cool.
like,
That's
wow.
that's great shit.
Very
Right?
nice.
Yeah. So even if the movie does suffer from maybe bad pacing or bad story, at least there's gonna be a lot of really cool eye candy shit. So
Oh
that's
god.
always something that we can look forward to on that.
Uh-oh. So yeah, that's going to be something cool.
Yeah.
Were there any comments we wanted to share on that, or was that really?
Well, the one thing that I did want to also mention about that was I'm hoping that the next couple trailers that we get, because it's 7 months out from the movie, I would say we get maybe two more trailers, that those start to show the other characters that are going to come in there, because it's already
Right.
confirmed Ant-Man's in it. Daredevil's going to show up. Hopefully Luke Cage and Jessica Jones do, just because I think that would be fantastic. Just think that would be great. It would be cool even to see like characters from the Thor movie or characters from Agents of Shield to show up in the movie.
I would love that. I was
Yeah.
so mad when frickin' Clark Gregg did not show up in Age of Ultron. It's like, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah. Like, come on, give him some love. He's
really?
the droids of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what I mean? He's
Seriously.
the C-3PO and R2-D2. He needs to be there to connect the threads of everything. In my
It's fucking Coulson.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. But that's an excellent segue into Jessica Jones.
yeah.
That's something else we were really, really, really itching to talk about because I know did you binge it the whole thing?
No. I've on 7 or 8. I'm halfway through. I want to say that I'm about like the next one I'm gonna watch is 8. Spoiler
I'm there.
alert. It's the one where she meets up with Kilgrave at her old house, I guess, and she just walks up, and then you're like, oh, what the fuck? That's the last thing I saw, so I haven't seen anything past that.
I guess I'm just before that because I saw Kilgrave buying the house. By the way, our show has a ton of spoilers in it, so don't come into
Yeah.
this thinking you're not going to get any spoilers. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to create a little warning spoilers placard for our thing because we're
Yeah.
going to fuck you up if not.
I think it's safe to say that we will let you know if there's not spoilers. If we do something
That's a
spoiler
better
free,
one.
we'll let you know. Otherwise, just expect to be spoiled the fuck out of in here.
And then that's where I'm at as well in Jessica Jones is Kilgrave just bought the house and it's getting tense. But
How much? How do you feel about the show versus the comic? Because obviously it's based on Alias, which is a 28 issue series. You know, from front to end, it's got a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion. The Kilgrave stuff isn't even until the last storyline in the book. But how do you feel about the way that it's portraying that character and that sort of story?
the comic, in my opinion, was, and it's amazing to say this, but it was so much darker and
Yeah.
grittier. And that's because it was that Marvel Max line, right?
Yeah. It was basically it was. I mean, I don't want to say it was porn or anything. Like, obviously, it wasn't porn, but it was R-rated. You know, comic books basically. Yeah. Adult.
Yeah, and Netflix is trying to kind of keep it a little more, not
No
quite
F-bombs.
as, but yeah, no F
Yeah, no
bomb.
F-bombs, and she spouted F-bombs all through the comic. You know, it was. I think
Yeah.
there was even a joke at one point where it's like she really does love that word. She says it quite a bit. You know.
Yeah. So Netflix is definitely keeping it slightly, cheerier, a little more above board. So that kind of, I think, it takes away from the power of some of what's going on in the story. Not much, because believe I love it. It's great, and I love how it has so much potential to tie in with Daredevil, since
Yes. Yeah.
we're both in Hell's Kitchen, and it's all under the same umbrella. Very excited to see that happening.
Yeah. I definitely, to me, and I know I always go back to Ninja Turtles, but that's because it sort of reminds me the same way of the Michael Bay Turtles, in the fact that it's a really weird movie. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's horrible or not, it is a really weird tone for that movie. But the one thing that they got right was the relationship and the personalities of the four turtles. And in this case, it's the show isn't anywhere near as separate or as disparate from the source material as that is, but it is different enough to be noticeable. However, Jessica Jones is Jessica Jones. That they got the character perfectly right. I thought that Kristen Ritter was, honestly, I thought she was kind of too attractive even to play Jessica Jones at first, but she is knocking this shit out of the park. Not to say that she's any less attractive or anything, but she, you know what I mean? She's,
I think she's kind of hot.
Yeah, she's got a very Sarah Michelle Gellar thing going with the nose.
Yeah.
Anyways, but she's the perfect Jessica Jones. She's inhabiting that role. She's not. It's not like this. It doesn't feel like a Hollywood actress playing a down and out scumbag. She's inhabiting that role, and she's doing a knockout job of it. Just the way Charlie Cox did for Matt Murdock. She's doing this for Jessica Jones. It's really, really well done. And also Luke Cage, the guy that got to play Luke Cage, Mike Coulter, he's doing also a knockout job. And maybe it's just because it was the time that Alias came out. It's already 15 years old. But I always imagine Luke Cage is a little harder. You know what I mean? He's definitely stoic and he's tough. But in the comic, he's got a little bit more of a hard edge. He's a little bit more of a thug, in my opinion. But he's still doing a great job. And of course, I know we were talking about David Tennant earlier. That guy can do no wrong. He's 10. He's 10. He's the 10th Doctor. He's amazing. I forget the name of his character in the Harry Potter movie, but he's one of the movie that he's in. That's one of my favorite of the Harry Potter movies. I just love that guy. I love that guy to death. He can do no wrong.
And he's to do a bad guy, coming from such notoriety of the Doctor, the cheery kind of just sort of bubbly, Doctor that he was.
Yeah.
Just to see that flip to where now he's just ruthlessly badass, it's just like so gratifying. I'm like, man.
Yeah. It shows his range, obviously.
Beautiful.
I mean, I can't stroke his ego enough. I mean, his range is amazing. And this is a perfect. I mean, he's playing Kilgrave as like a gleefully twisted like man child. Like this guy, he doesn't realize that it's not all about what he wants. It's like he, and I don't know.
Yeah.
David Tennant has that twisted fucking like look in his eye when he laughs at something that should be balked at or make somebody feel horrified. He just laughs. It's great. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it's going to end. So if anybody wants to spoil it for us, don't.
Don't
Because,
know.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, we should call this part one of our Jessica Jones, sort of discussion. We should binge it over the next week and finish this
Oh,
next week with the.
yeah, we'll be done by next week, and we can, finish off what we thought of the end part of it after, from where we're at.
Definitely.
That would be very cool.
Yeah. But no, I mean, just I guess a little bit more that the tone of of the show captures the tone of the comic. But yeah, it could definitely be a little harder edge. I mean,
It
again,
could.
we're not. I'm not saying like, oh, it needs to have all the f bombs and nudity or anything like that. But it's just you can tell that this was being developed for ABC before Netflix got a hold of it, and they pushed it farther on Netflix. But you can tell that it was going to be a basic cable show at the beginning. So.
Yeah, and they definitely added in the non-ABC parts. You can tell the first couple of episodes when Luke and Jessica are going after it. You're like, oh shit, I just didn't expect it. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah, I was like,
all right,
Jesus.
go
All right,
Kristen
well,
Ritter.
yeah, hey, superhero loving.
What you got to do?
What you gotta do.
Got it. You'd imagine it would be worse. Like Superman, Wonder Woman kind of thing. Just everything's in shambles, destroyed.
I just imagine it just angry faces and bruised loins, bruised groin parts. I don't know.
Yeah. Lots of hospital bills or something. Collateral damage.
Yeah.
There's people limping around. It was
Yeah.
them. They were fucking. But anyway.
But no, and I mean, of course, Jessica Jones and the whole Netflix thing. That's fantastic. I definitely can't wait for Luke Cage, and it's been confirmed that Iron Fist is going to be a show. At first, it was initially announced that was going to be the fourth one, and then it was like, well, we can't figure out how to break the show, how to work the story, and then now in the past week they've confirmed Iron Fist is still a go, which is fantastic because that means we get Luke Cage and Iron Fist, we get the Heroes for Hire as part of the Defenders.
Yep.
It's going to be fucking awesome. But there's more in the comic book cinematic universe than just the Marvel stuff. There's obviously I know you're a fan of Arrow and the Flash. I've been inundated by people. Yeah, people have been beating me over the head that I'm not watching Arrow or Flash, and I know I have to get into it. I tried watching the first episode of The Flash. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't necessarily in the best state of mind to watch a show at that point. But it was, it was what it was. It looks interesting. The one that I really am into is Gotham. I think Gotham is amazing. I think it's weird, it's stylized, it's out there, and it's right up my alley. It's right up my alley.
Well, I'll admit, right off the bat, I will admit that the Flash is much tougher to get into, and even myself being a fan, since the '80s. I've had a hard time because it was sort of hit and miss. It was like, okay, this episode's good, but then this one's sort of like, and then this one's good. So, you got to kind of really invest yourself to the narrative of it because the storyline going straight through is really excellent. So, you got to say, okay, shit, it's Captain Cold. Well, all right, I'll tough through this one and wait until the stuff with Dr. Wells happens, and it gets better, and it starts to gel. Now, Arrow is just a fucking thrill a minute, dude. Now, that's the one that I can really see if you kind of say, I'm going to binge the first season. By the time you're done with that, you're like, yes, I'm watching this show. Because it's got everything. It's got the story, it's got the action, it's just got everything piled on perfectly. So, yeah, and on the other side of the coin, I have caught up with Gotham. And I'm actually starting to enjoy it because it was hard as hell for me to get through the first season. It was a yawn.
That's so weird. That's so weird because that was the first season to me in Gotham seemed to be such like I mean, maybe it's because of this, but to me it was sort of like a mob tale, like a very mafioso kind of thing. Yeah. I fucking loved Fish Mooney. I thought the Penguin was amazing. That's kind of one of the things I want to speak on about right now is the Penguin was my favorite character in the first season. He was ruthless, he was fucking conniving, he was scheming, but he was smart about it. And then up until last week's episode,
they turned him pretty whiny.
He was a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
That guy was a fucking pussy. They pussyfied him so bad. And I was telling Christina, because we watched it together, I was telling her, like, I can't believe they're doing this to my favorite character. Like, he deserves so much better than this, and this actor deserves so much better than this. Granted, while he was being wasted away, or at least you thought he was being wasted away, the Riddler was coming up, and that guy's really good also. The Riddler in this season has become my favorite. But like I said, in not just this past week's episode that I just watched, but also last week's, the Penguin's kind of back. He's back. He's reclaimed his shit. The whole, I think the whole reason that they had pussified him or whatever, the plot point they'd used to really weaken his character was his mom, which is great in whatever in terms of plot or whatever. One thing that I wonder about though is how can you have Carol Kane on your show, amazing Carol Kane on your show, hardly fucking use her and then kill her? Like, what are you doing? This is fucking Carol Kane, like, But it was a good catalyst for I guess what the Penguin's going to become hopefully in the second half of the season.
Well, maybe that's what it was all about. Maybe they were pussifying him, just to bring him back up and finally, meet up with the Riddler and then start to get hard again. Sort of a roller coaster of character development. Give Edward Nygma a little time to show his badass while kind of dropping down. Oswald Cobblepot. Yeah.
Interesting theory I have about tonight's episode, actually. Theo Galavan revealed...
Which I have not seen, but go ahead.
Oh, well, fucking spoilers. You say it yourself. Theo Galavan revealed that...
No one is immune.
No one is immune, not even us. Is that Theo Galavan's last name is really Dumas, which is like, whatever, but what I'm thinking is, since they're bringing in this whole, like, monk aspect, this whole ancient Gotham thing...
Yeah, I saw.
Dumas was the name that Liam Neeson's character used to disguise himself from being known as Ra's al Ghul in the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're doing like a Ra's al Ghul thing, or Ra's al Ghul. I call him Ra's al Ghul because I grew up in the 90s. So I'm wondering if they're doing that. That could be pretty interesting. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't they use Ra's al Ghul in Arrow?
Yes, they did.
No, elaborate on that because I don't know anything about that.
Oh, really? So it's okay for you to spoil, but not for me.
I'm asking you to spoil me.
Okay, yeah. They did actually use Ra's al Ghul, and that was sort of a thing to where Oliver Queen was the new Ra's al Ghul. It's not the Ra's al Ghul from the Batman universe because Ra's is more like the Darth title, apparently. There's several of them. There's many of them, and they keep passing it along. And so that does open it up for something to happen within Gotham. From what I heard, though, they're not supposed to be in the same...
No, they're not.
Yeah.
The Gotham is in its own bubble, like its own weird bubble. Whereas like
no CW.
No CW, all those, and then like the million other spinoffs. Those are all in big thing. It's weird though because I think that Supergirl, that's not CW, is it? That's like CBS.
It's not, but I think they're putting it into that.
Yeah, so there could always be the opportunity for some crossover with Gotham, but I think that because it's Batman and Batman is Batman, they're never, it's going to stay away from everything else.
I'd like to see it, but yeah, that would make Barry and Oliver and all them like 15 years older than Batman, which doesn't really seem very right at all. So,
so that's pretty cool. That's the one thing that sort of piqued my interest about Arrow. Well, I mean, I always wanted to watch Arrow. It's just I wasn't able to watch it when it first came out. I don't know why I never started, but I really wanted to get into the whole Ra's al Ghul storyline, see what that was all about. And I have another friend who's really, really into The Flash. He wants me to start watching that. But again, I have to, I don't know, I gotta put the time aside and I gotta devote myself to check these two shows out.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. But, yeah.
So we've been playing a lot of video games lately.
Yeah, we have.
We got totally like on a 2-day addiction with Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes.
That had just come out.
Yes.
And man, oh man, that was fun.
Have you played it like since this past weekend? Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't popped it in yet.
I'm up to rank 9 at this point.
Oh, okay. I'm not too far behind you.
No.
Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't played it yet. I really need to just to check out the different like modes and stuff because obviously I had Googled originally before this game even came out because we were gonna fucking be wingmen. And I was gonna, we were gonna play and all this, and I was like, cool, I don't need PlayStation Plus to play multiplayer online. Well, the internet lied, as it always does, and so I was able to get like a 2-day trial for PS Plus, and this weekend we tore it up. That shit was fun as hell. It was fantastic, and now I'm just waiting for payday basically to get PS Plus for sure, so I can get the so you can play online. But you've been, I'm assuming, kicking ass on it.
Oh man, yeah, I think my favorite, and I'm not going to speak for you, but definitely my favorite game. It's pretty much 100% of a multiplayer game. You
Yeah,
get this game to play it with other people. There are little pieces, the battles and things like that, where you go in by yourself and you do this, but that's just training for the multiplayer.
yeah.
And my favorite part of that was the fighter squadrons. Oh man,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
addicted,
dude.
and I'm actually good at that one. I'm terrible about the ground assaults, but the fighter squadrons are great. You hop in. There's 4 or 5 maps, and you hop in either an X-wing, an A-wing if you're on the rebel side, or a Tie fighter or a Sith Inquisitor, the interceptor,
Interceptor, yeah.
interceptor on the Empire side, and y'all just go at it, man. You've got like multiple dogfights going on.
Yeah.
They have transports that show up that you have to go and destroy. I got another most points on that one too.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Good job.
Yep. And then there's also like the top damage dealer kind of morphs into, on the Rebel side, he morphs into the Millennium Falcon, and on the Empire side, it morphs into Slave One, Boba Fett's ship. And man, those things are hard to kill.
Yeah, they really are. I mean,
It's amazing.
how many times were we just shooting the shit out of those things, and then it explodes, and you think that, oh, I'm the one that did it, but it turns out there were like 5 other fucking people that were shooting at it with you, and it was like a combined effort. Those things take a lot of damage.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Those things are nuts. And on the opposite side of that, all they have to do is turn around and breathe on you, and you're dead.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
blown up. It's crazy.
You know what that is? That's something that's been in video games, I think, since the 70s. It's called the game cheats, in my opinion. That's what the fuck that is. It's not that we suck. It's not that we're bad. It's the game fucking cheats. That's
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
thinking of
The
that,
game cheats ever since Pong.
ever since Pong.
Yeah.
Fucking Pong. But no, yeah, I fucking love the shit out of it. It's definitely the most immersive. Well, immersive in the sense that it is the universe. It's the most. It's the greatest looking. The sound design is amazing. The graphics are awesome. You are in these battles that you know from the fucking movies, and it's amazing. Um, However, you're absolutely right. It's almost 100% multiplayer. There's not even a storyline. Like even your Call of Duties and your other shooters, your Halos and stuff, they at least have a skeleton of a story. This really doesn't have any story at all. This is it's
No.
You have your missions and your battles that you can do offline, and then you have your multiplayer online. And there's been a lot of actual sort of backlash against that. Some people are saying, well, this isn't a $60 game. Some people are saying, this game feels incomplete. Coming from the camp that prefers games with storyline at the very least, even if it's a skeleton, I still don't feel that it's not a $60 game. I think you're paying for the gorgeousness of it. You're paying for the fun that you get online. You know what I mean? I mean, I do think the $50 price tag for the season pass is a little ridiculous. But now that I've actually played it, gotten my feet wet, it might be worth it, man. If we get the Death Star trench run,
Yeah,
dude, like, oh my god,
that would be
that's
something
awesome.
else.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be.
And so, I've never played a Battlefield game. From what I understand, Battlefront is just the Star Wars version of, the DICE Battlefield games.
Yeah.
They're the same company that made this one, so maybe that's, a lot of people have played those in the past. Obviously, I'm
I,
not a shooter guy, so I didn't know, but I still think it's super fun. I still think it's
and
super fun.
I agree. And I have played the Battlefield games. I've played Call of Duty. I've actually played Battlefield 4 like last week. So, I mean, coming out of the box, I can see where they're coming from, but I felt immediately, after the first hour of the Starfighter squadron, think games we were playing, immediately I was like, man, this is worth the $60 for 1 hour. I was just like, damn,
Yeah.
man. And it has been ever since, so there's no story, but there's hours and hours and hours of just crazy badass fun.
Yeah.
And the immersion is amazing. When we're running on Hoth, I'm like, my God,
Yeah.
snow is like powdery, and with an Oculus, I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna buy an
Yeah.
Oculus Rift and play the shit out of this game because it needs to be
The fighter
played with
squadron.
an Oculus.
The
Oh
fighter
my
squadron
God.
with the fighter with the goggles on. I might hurl. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I don't know about Fighter Squadron though, because like in the TIE Fighter, that freaking canopy is just impossible to see around.
That's true. That's true. Because even if you had the Rift on or the goggles on, you would
You'd
still
still,
it would still be third person, right? And you'd still see
yeah,
the ship. Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. The first person ground assault shit,
that would be
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it'd be like that. Have you seen that commercial where they're playing like some shooter game and they're all wearing Oculus and they go to get the pizza rolls from the
Pizza rolls.
microwave?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that. It's
that's fucking
great.
funny. Yeah,
I could
yeah.
see that happening.
Also, if ever we get into like customizations or mods for games, we need to create a mod for Battlefront called Star Farter because that would be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I ran with your hiccups there. So,
Yes, yes, yes. Very. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
but
And what?
actually, since we're talking about Battlefront, if any of you guys out there, we're on the PS4. I don't remember my name on Oh, it's Zodiac Brave 1983. Zodiac Brave 1983 on PS4. And if you want to give yours out, maybe we can create because we were saying that it would be really fun if we had an entire squadron or like a flight of X wings or A wings or whatever to play with, or a whole group of people. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I would totally be down for that. I really want to get more people involved in that to where we can uh, have our own group because I think that's part of why we were getting our asses kicked so much is because there were a lot of people that had their friends that they could communicate with and actually sync up their battle strategy with because I could swear some of the, like on the ground assault, man. Oh man, I know that there was just like 5 or 6 people totally just owning the hell out of anybody that wasn't in a dedicated group.
Yeah, it was the same like 4 or 5 people that we kept getting killed by. The same 4 or 5 12-year-olds that we kept getting
Yeah.
killed by.
Exactly.
Yeah, so but yeah, all right. So actually, other than that, a couple of things that I did want to mention was first off, I kind of wanted to also go back into the TV talk and talk about Ash versus Evil Dead. Have you had a chance to check that out yet?
I have not.
I haven't. I've
And
only seen the first
surprisingly,
episode. I've only
really.
seen the first episode, but that first episode was amazing. I had no idea it was going to be directed by Sam Raimi. It's it's legit, man. It's not a TV version. I
Good.
mean, obviously it's a TV version, but it's not like a watered down TV version of a movie. It continues the story. I believe one of our listeners, my friend Monique Lolita, she was commenting earlier how she asked what we thought about it, and she sort of thought that maybe it was a continuation of the original Evil Dead and mixing like all of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. And actually, I kind of think it's the opposite because in the first episode you actually get flashbacks, and the footage they use in the flashbacks is taken from the Evil Dead 2 movie.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, and so I sort of immediately knew that it was going to be Evil Dead 2, but also because of how almost cartoony it is, it's sort of Evil Dead 2. It forgets about Army of Darkness, but it takes that tone of Army of Darkness. So it's really super hilarious. It's Ash being a scumbag, a really cartoony scumbag. Bruce Campbell selling it, no matter how old that man gets, he'll never lose his charm.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious. There's a lot of, at least in the first episode that I saw, there's quite a bit of fan service, but again done in a really good way, done really well. And I would definitely say I'm gonna binge it. I have I think the 5th episode comes out this week. Download that. I want to binge like at least the first half of the season, all at once. And I recommend it, man. I think you'd really dig it, dude. I think you'd really like it.
I'll check it out definitely.
Yeah, yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention also in sort of the realm of TV was James, our friend James, also wanted us to mention the Kickstarter for MST3K for Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
Joel Hodgson, I think he started it, I don't know, maybe about a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I'm not sure.
I heard about that.
Yeah, I believe it's funded. But now they're going for the stretch goals.
Hell yeah.
Which is fantastic because it's fucking
Yes.
MST3K.
Hell yeah.
I haven't donated to it, I don't know that I am just because money, but it's something that I definitely want to see. I don't want to spend on it, but I will definitely reap the fruit of it.
Much like us internet leeches do.
Yeah, yeah. Sadly enough, but once this podcast becomes huge, then I'll throw some shekels, and at a bunch of different people. But
So if
anyways,
you'd like to donate to Nerd Lives Matter,
please do. Just you don't even have to. There's no Kickstarter. Just find
oh, yeah.
me on the street
Not
and
yet. Yeah, yeah.
hand
Slip
me a
us a
couple
couple
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah,
Give me a 20. We're good.
find my comics. Do that. But no, that's fantastic. I think it's great that things like this are actually just crowdsourcing in general. I guess as an idea is great, and it's definitely not new. I mean, it's been around almost a decade now. In the form that we know it as Kickstarter, Indiegogo, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic because there are things, comics, sequels to movies, video games that wouldn't get a second glance from big giant corporations or developers that are able to be literally funded by the crowd. People that want it are able to throw their money at it and they get it in response or they get it in return. And I think it's really good. I mean, if you're a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000, Rift Tracks, any of that stuff, go check it out. If you have the money, toss them a couple bucks. It's going to be great to see the puppets again, and the fact that Joel is the one doing it. That's awesome.
Great.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wonder who the bad guy's gonna be. Is it gonna be the scientist or what was her name?
I think they James was telling me that I think they are getting Felicia Day to be the chick, I think, and Patton Oswalt is going to be the scientist guy, I think. So, yeah,
Nice.
or that's rumored. I don't know if it's true or not. James, let us know in the comments or whatever on Twitter and all that shit. Just let us know for sure. Get in on the discussion because that's pretty badass, regardless of anything. It's awesome.
Yeah. I heart Felicia Day, so that's great. The Guild was just I so watched the Guild like crazy.
I've never watched it. I've never
Oh
watched
well,
it. Yeah.
you wouldn't totally. It's very very geared towards people who play MMOs, and as you know, I'm severely addicted to MMOs. I play Final Fantasy 14 every day, and before that, when you saw me play World of Warcraft, like I was snorting the shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, so and that show is really centered around a group of people that play an MMO. So
Yeah. That
it's
is one of the reasons that I was kind of like, about it because
yeah.
I don't have anything against MMOs. It's just it's not for me. Again, it's at least from my limited knowledge, it's sort of the same along the same lines as Battlefront in the sense that there's not really much of a story to it. I mean, I could be totally wrong.
Sir.
Yeah,
Sir.
yeah. As a matter of fact, just today I saw the commercial for the new Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, that's got a pretty decent story to it. But I'll tell you right now, Final Fantasy 14, hands down, has a better storyline than nearly any of the other games I've played.
Oh, yeah.
It's got
Final Fantasy.
Amazing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's got an amazing storyline. I love it. So
speaking of that, actually, today, coincidentally, is Hironobu Sakaguchi's birthday.
Yes,
Creator
yes,
of
it
Final
is.
Fantasy. So happy birthday today!
Happy
and
birthday, dude.
when this is posted, happy belated a week ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, that's I would expect nothing less from a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
Even to the point where there
well,
was.
don't say that.
Well,
there's been some shit.
That's what I was gonna say. Like even in the weaker games, even if the games themselves sucked, or even if the story sucked, there was a lot of story content.
You're right.
It was very storyline based. Whether the stories were good or not, it's very very story based. So that's definitely something that maybe I should check out. Man, it's available on PS4, right?
Final Fantasy, yes, it is.
Did you play it on PS4? Or you play it on?
I have it
PC?
both.
Really nice.
But the servers are mixed, so people with PS4s can play with people on PC.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe who knows? The Realm Reborn. That's the 14, right?
Yeah, and that's because I'll give you a little interesting backstory. The original version of Final Fantasy 14 was horrible.
That's what I hear.
mean, it was just tragically bad.
Yeah.
And they decided that, and I loved the way they did it. They were like, okay, well, we're going to destroy the world. We're going to end the world in the game and create Judgment Day. Yes, they created a Judgment Day for the end of the game, and then when 2.0, as we who play it call it, when 2.0 came out, it was sort of like the rebirth of the world, and it was a really cool kind of concept the way they did it, and everyone really appreciated it. So, and they fixed nearly everything. They came out. And every article I read, every player I talked to, they said that it went from shit to probably one of the best games they've ever played in like just a blink of an eye. They redid it from the ground up and just made it amazing.
That's
So
awesome. That's what I've
it
heard
is.
also.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a bunch of people also that play it, and they've always said, the same thing, that it was horrible, it was bad, and even just from the outset, like knowing that you have Final Fantasy 11, which was out for years and years,
Yeah.
and then Final Fantasy 14 is also an MMO. It's like, Jesus, this franchise is not fucking around.
Yeah.
They want two fully realized, huge server spanning MMO games. And it was sort of almost like, well, of course this one's gonna suck, also, or this one's gonna suck. They already have all that invested. But the fact that they could sort of bring it up from the ground, sort of make it rise like a phoenix, that's pretty awesome.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
Interesting news. Speaking of Final Fantasy 11, they are finally doing the final last storyline for Final Fantasy 11.
Really, I
There's
thought that
people
it
that
was.
still play it.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I thought that had ended like years ago.
There's
Wow.
people that still play it, seriously dedicated. I've hopped on a few times. I tried it many years ago, 8, 9 years ago, and hated it. I couldn't stand it. So I ditched it then, and I've played a couple times here and there throughout the years. But I learned to appreciate it a lot more the few times that I did play it afterwards. But yeah, it's ending. They're going to, I believe, stop server maintenance on the PC servers. I think you can still play it, but I don't think it's really going to be working too well.
Yeah.
Because they're adapting it for mobile now. It's
Oh,
actually
wow.
it's actually going to be a mobile game, and we haven't heard a whole lot about it, but
How do you
um,
feel about mobile gaming in general? At least that type of mobile gaming, because sure, it's
I
great,
try.
the little games that you can play while you're taking a crap, every couple minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I know there's been like there's been a ton of Final Fantasy 7 games for mobile, but an MMO on mobile, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
I've tried one. There was this game called Order and Chaos, I believe is what it's called, and it was basically a stripped down knockoff version of World of Warcraft. Very, very much like World of Warcraft. I mean, you really felt it was, a clone of World of Warcraft. And I've played a million PC clones of World of Warcraft, and it felt like a PC clone. So they can do it, and it does work out right. But my feeling is, for an MMO, part of the experience for me is being involved in the world. I like a lush, beautiful environment. So yes, I'm a graphic snob. I want my games to look nice, so where I feel like I'm immersed in them.
Hmm.
And the technology for mobile gaming, it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
It's not, and plus you don't have the time to invest in it. If you're taking a shit, depending on your shit factor, how long it takes you. You can't put 2 or 3 hours into a game like you could, if you're playing on the PC or on console. I'd take some pretty long shits, but never that long to actually
Yeah.
get invested into a game. And we promised we wouldn't go into, that kind of talk.
Yeah, I mean, you were being honest. You weren't,
It's true.
you
It's
weren't
true.
making
We're talking
a
about gaming,
joke.
so
You're
yeah.
being honest. If you
Yeah.
take long
Anyway,
shits.
but yeah, you don't have the time or the graphics or the playability to really immerse yourself really well into those games. But it's really dependent on if you don't really want to lug your PC or your laptop around. You just want your tablet. It's a pretty good alternative.
Yeah, I wanted to check out that Star Wars Uprising game, which is
Yeah.
it's an RPG, but it's only on mobile.
Yeah.
I'm always bragging about my phone, which I'm recording off of right here. It's a Lumia 1520, one of the best cameras on the market, but it's a Windows phone, so I don't get the Doctor Who Legacy game that I want. I don't get Simpsons Tapped Out. I don't get really any cool games. And Star Wars Uprising is one that I really wanted to get, and it's not going to be available as of right now. Hopefully, maybe it'll come one day, but that's something that I think I would have invested some time into on my phone.
Yeah.
It helps that my phone is what the hipsters call a phablet, phone tablet. It's fucking huge. It's like walking around with a calculator, like an old Texas Instruments T81 or whatever,
Yeah.
next to my face. But I would have definitely put some time into that, or I might if it comes out, because that looks like a really cool game. And I mean, regardless of where you're playing, or what the stigma is for mobile gaming, I would sit down if the game was made well enough, and if it was engaging enough. I would sit there on a phone and play it. You know what I mean? Even if I wasn't on the toilet, I'd make myself comfortable on a couch or something, and play on my phone. But that's also that's a lot of eye strain. You know, you're playing on your phone, so the controls are
Yeah.
like on the screen, and that's
Yeah.
awkward and shaking. So you know, it's either or on those, I guess.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I've got the same thing. I've got a lot of emulators on mine with old PlayStation games and N64 games and things like that. And I still love doing it, but it's so limiting, because the controls are on the screen. Your thumbs are in the way when you're trying to. I beat Ninja
yeah,
Gaiden, man, and it took me
fuck,
6 months to do it, just because the last guy, my thumbs were in the way when I was sitting there trying to dodge his little fireballs. I was like,
that's
you
annoying.
bastard.
I literally
Yeah.
have Ninja Gaiden in my NES right now, and I
Nice.
haven't played it in a good 8 months. But I was playing it for like 4 months, and I mean I didn't beat that game when I was a kid. You
Yeah.
know, here
Yeah.
I am in my creaky old 30s, and I still can't beat it. I fucking guarantee you
I
though,
beat
I'm
it,
gonna
dude.
beat that shit soon.
Do
Yeah,
it, man, because it's the most satisfying feeling because it is hard as hell.
yeah,
That last dude is evil.
yeah. Fuck
So
Ninja Gaiden. I mean,
yeah,
I love it, but fuck that game, man. Like,
yeah,
but yeah.
it's almost as bad as Ghouls and Ghosts.
Which
That's
is
a
one I need to get that shit. I need to get it. I was playing it recently on an emulator. I love it.
yeah,
But I haven't played
it's
it on.
hard.
Yeah, it's really fucking hard because like you beat it and then the game flips over.
Yeah,
Like it turns upside down. You got to beat the entire game backwards, upside down. I mean, you know, Nintendo hard, right? You know, I love
yeah,
that shit.
yeah.
I love that shit. I love it.
It
I
is what
can't.
it is.
I.
That's
It's hard
that
as
was their
hell.
that was their strategy. Instead of making it replayable, let's make it hard as fuck. So it takes 100 years, for the sequel to come out.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a brilliant
exactly.
strategy.
I mean, I'm sure they were planning that in 2015 we would still be beating some of these fucking games because, you know, they were all about quantity, not quality, I guess,
Yeah.
because the amount of time that we spent playing on this shit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but hey, I still love it. I have my Nintendo, my Super Nintendo. I have a ton of games. I recently got into the whole retro game thing. I mean, well, no, I've always been into the retro game thing, but I just recently started getting into the collecting of it, buying the old gems that I always wanted to play, actually investing money into it. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Still haven't gotten past Battletoads level 3. I still haven't, and that annoys the shit out of me. But yeah. But all right. What do you say we take some Facebook questions? We actually got a couple of them.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. This one actually is the second part of the question that Lolita had asked in regards to what we thought about Ash versus Evil Dead and where it fit or whatever. But the other part of her question is, and I quote, "Do you think Jessica Jones is going to be better than Daredevil? Because I thought Daredevil was amazing." Um,
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know because I love Daredevil. I mean, that's fucking Daredevil right there. That's
That's
Matt
Daredevil.
Murdock. That's Daredevil. And I'm a huge Daredevil fan. I think that the tone that they got with Daredevil was fantastic. Like I said, they're matching the tone with Jessica Jones really well. Um, but one of the things that I sort of not a problem with, but that I see could have been done differently, is the fact that Jessica Jones is a 28 book series. It's 28 issues. They could have easily done 2 seasons of like 14 episodes each, and each one could have actually been an issue from the comic. Instead, they're sort of stretching out this whole Kilgrave storyline, which is done really well. But if you read the comic and you follow it through, you don't realize the torture and the horrific shit that she went through until the comic book is almost over. You know, you're 4 years in, or 2.5 years into this comic book before all that stuff comes to light. And the way that she reveals what Kilgrave did to her, um, it's impactful because at that time you've seen the character grow, you've seen the shit that she can do, the shit that she's been through while you've been with her, and it's like you feel so good at the end of that comic when when her and Luke Cage go off and become husband and wife and all that shit. Um, so they got the tone right, but they could have followed it way more closely. Whereas Daredevil, they had decades to pull that stuff from, so they were okay just sort of matching tone and sort of picking little bits of plot here and there to sort of form their own story, which I think they've done fantastically. Just as a character, I relate to Matt Murdock a little bit more. I definitely feel his struggle at sort of not being able to do a lot of the things, or having to live in sort of a world where all kinds of shit is going wrong, and he sort of has to maneuver what's right, what's wrong, and figure out how he fits into that. So personally, I don't think that Jessica Jones is going to be better than Daredevil just because I like Daredevil more. You know. Now, what do you think?
I agree, actually. Not for those same reasons, but I think on a more superficial level, I agree because the characters in Daredevil, to me, or most of them at least, are a lot more engaging. Their depth, and it may be because there's been so long to develop those characters as opposed to Jessica Jones, but I think just the depth that the actors can reach is just a scotch more than everything that is going on in Jessica Jones. Like, for example, my biggest example, Wilson Fisk, man, that boy is just
Yeah.
he is amazing,
Yeah.
you know, and he can reach this level of depth. I mean, he goes just wow, you know,
Yeah.
when he goes like, you know, what is it, nerd rage retarded, you know, and he just starts beating people,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. He kills that
it's
dude
just
with the door. You know, he smashes that
yeah,
guy's head. Yeah.
you know, I haven't seen anything to that level to where it just grabs me and pulls me really hard. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm watching Jessica Jones. I enjoy it. It's fun. I'm engaged in it, but not like, oh my God, I have to see what happens next
Yeah.
or I'm going to shit myself. You know, it's not to that level. And Daredevil was to that level.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I
Granted,
have,
again, we haven't seen the second half of Jessica
right,
Jones, but
right,
already, I mean, we were 4 episodes in when Wilson Fisk
right.
crushed that dude's head. Like, yeah, yeah. And not
Yeah,
only that, but the fact that he can do something so horrific and it's portrayed in such a sort of stylized but hyper realistic way, but then you can still feel compassion and sadness for him because he just
exactly.
loves Vanessa so much. That to me not only speaks about the range of Vincent D'Onofrio's acting, but the writing and what they're doing with the show and with the characters.
Exactly, exactly. And it's just it seems so far to me more potent.
Yeah,
And if it stays that way, then, you know, it's not to say we won't watch Jessica Jones or we won't enjoy it, but we will definitely say Daredevil is the superior
yeah.
show.
And I want to say, like, as much as I was looking forward to Daredevil because I'm such a huge Daredevil fan, I have been waiting almost a decade for the Alias TV show, for the Jessica Jones show. I'm I feel so gratified as a fanboy, as a nerd, that they not only chose to make this property, but they did it as well as it is doing. So I
Oh
don't want to
yeah.
take anything away from Jessica Jones at all. I think it's a fantastic fucking show. I'm hooked on it right now. But in regards to this question specifically, I think that I don't think it's going to be good as Daredevil was to me specifically.
Right. Or both of us. Oh,
Yeah,
also
yeah,
one more feather in the cap of Daredevil. Daredevil is isn't one of the executive producers Drew Greenberg?
yeah.
Yeah.
From or he was well, it's Stephen DeKnight and Drew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it Drew Greenberg or Drew Goddard?
Oh, good question.
I don't
Uh
remember which one it was, but I know that of course they worked with Whedon and stuff, and it's no, it's Drew Goddard because it's the same guy that wrote Cloverfield, and
okay.
that was Drew Goddard.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's
So
Stephen
it was
DeKnight.
Drew Goddard.
Yeah, it was
Still,
Drew Goddard. Still, yeah, great.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's from Whedon's camp, and if you're
anything,
from Whedon's camp,
you're aces,
yeah,
aces.
exactly. Well, like Once Upon a Time, one of the main writers is oh crap, Rebecca Rand Kirshner?
Really cool. She wrote some of the best
No, I'm
episodes.
sorry, I take that back. I'm wrong. Jane Epitson, even better.
Even better. Jane
Yeah,
Espenson got me. I mean, I watched Gilmore Girls because of Jane
yeah,
Espenson. I
yeah.
watched The OC because of Jane Espenson. Granted, I watched The OC just because that's it's a good show. Fuck you, it's a good show. But yeah, she wrote a
No
couple
judging.
episodes early on, and but yeah, no, anything that Jane Espenson has worked on, I'm really a big fan of.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I want to say that Marty Noxon, didn't she do something? No, Marty Noxon worked on Grimm, which I don't even know if that show is still around or not. But I know that it came
No,
out the same year as Once Upon a Time.
I
But
could
that was
swear she was doing something else, but I don't remember.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, people out there in the
Yeah,
audience. But yeah, but cool. All right, I think we have time for maybe one more question here before
yeah.
we wrap up. Let's see. This one's a little bit more fun. This is from my homeboy, my ex coworker Patrick. True or false? Dr. Manhattan would win any one-on-one battle against anyone in any universe. What do you think? True or false?
False.
False? All right.
Yes, and I'll tell you why right now.
Why?
It's Thanos with all 5 Infinity Gems, my friend, or anybody with all 5 Infinity
That's
Gems, or
true.
6 Infinity Gems. I'm sorry.
Because wouldn't you say that the reality gem is sort of encompasses everything that Doctor Manhattan has in terms of
Exactly.
reality shaping?
So,
Yeah,
yeah, if you just squish that, it'd be over. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. All right.
there's always a bigger fish, my friend.
Yeah, I can't even argue with that. I could say, it's fucking Doctor Manhattan, him and his blue glowing body.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, pretty much that covers it right there. I can't
Sorry,
think
I
of
didn't mean
anything
to
else.
make it
Yeah.
so hard.
No, no, that was fine because I was gonna say like no, there's got to be somebody that can beat him, and then I probably would have gone into the whole nerd. Well, this person, a Jedi with 15 holocrons could, but no, yeah, Thanos, yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah,
Or anybody with the Infinity Gauntlet. I'll even stretch it
yeah,
to that. It could be fucking
Squirrel
um,
Girl with the
Squirrel
Infinity
Girl,
Gauntlet.
Spider Gwen,
Yeah,
anybody.
Spider Gwen.
Yeah,
I really need to catch up on comics. I
yeah.
really do need to catch up on comics. Did you
And I
pick up
would
any
like
this
to
week?
actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you pick up any this week?
This week, no. I still need to. What's today is Wednesday, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm about a day off. I usually go Thursday or Friday. So yeah. I haven't quite gotten what's this week, but last week's were really, really good, and I'm excited for. And I'd like to actually maybe talk about some of those maybe next week.
Cool.
Some of the ones that I've been picking up because they've been pretty excellent.
Cool. Yeah, and actually, I got some comics for my birthday slash our anniversary slash. She literally just brought me home the Sandman Overture hardcover by Kirkman. So as a belated anniversary gift, so that's awesome. So yeah, definitely next week we can. There you go, people. You can look forward to comic book talk next week. It's gonna be awesome.
Should be fun.
Yeah. But all right, cool. In that case, go ahead and do the wrap up here. Um, we are, of course, Nerd Lives Matter, hashtag Nerd Lives Matter, hashtag the podcast for outcasts. You can find us everywhere on social media except Snapchat because we're not that young. But we are at Nerd Lives Matter on Twitter and Instagram. Nerd Lives Matter, obviously, search us on YouTube. Email is nerdlivesmatter@gmail.com. So we're around. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Anything you wanted to talk about before we go? Anything you want to plug?
Well, yeah, I guess we can talk about one thing really quick, ladies and gentlemen. You may not know this, but I am actually a comic book artist and writer, and I will be in roughly 2 weeks putting out my first fully colored comic book, finished, completed by myself, completely done, all by my lonesome. Um, I do, I do a book called Team Awesome, which is sort of a satirical commentary on comic books and the way that the women are portrayed in comic books, which turned into something a little more serious than I thought it would be. But that's the breaks. So I will probably be speaking more about that at a later date. But if you'd like, you can try and find me somewhere on Facebook. I've got a page called Twisted Quill Media, which is where I post my comics, and I will inform everybody when it's actually officially out on Amazon.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
definitely we'll put a link to that page everywhere on
Yeah.
our social media stuff. Yeah, I mean we've known each other for fucking ever. Fantastic writer, great artist. We've worked a lot in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do something in the future. We've got to fucking
That would
bounce
be
around some
interesting.
ideas. As for myself, I'm a big fucking bookworm. So I'm in the process of finishing a couple book reviews that I've been writing, book reports basically, that I'm going to film and maybe edit together and throw up on the YouTube page. So you can look for that in the next coming couple weeks. Hopefully, I'm going to be doing my review of Lost Stars, the Star Wars book by Claudia Gray. Hopefully, filming it this weekend, getting it up at the latest Monday night, maybe Tuesday. So you can look forward to that. Other than that, I'm Zodiac Brave 1983 on PS4. Come find me, and maybe if I have PS Plus at that point, we can shoot some TIE Fighters together.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, anything else?
All right. Nope, that'll do.
All right, well, again, this is the Nerd Lives Matters podcast, the podcast for outcasts, where every life matters unless you belong to the clan. All right, man. You have a good night, everybody. See y'all later.
Good night, world.